In a decision that will echo for generations, the Supreme Court has delivered a landmark 8-1 ruling, marking one of the most significant moments in the ongoing debate over the Second Amendment. This decision is not just a legal milestone, it's a turning point that will shape the way Americans think about their rights and responsibilities for years to come. The ruling fundamentally reshapes gun rights across America, setting a new national standard that will impact every state, from the most rural communities to the largest cities. It challenges existing laws and forces lawmakers to reconsider how they regulate firearms, sparking immediate debate and uncertainty. The decision in Woolford v. Lopez directly addresses the right to carry firearms in public, sending shockwaves through state legislatures and local governments. Lawmakers are now scrambling to interpret the ruling, with some states moving quickly to revise their laws, while others brace for legal challenges and public outcry. Legal experts are already calling this a watershed moment, noting that the court's opinion could influence not just gun laws, but the broader interpretation of constitutional rights in the years ahead. For millions of Americans, this ruling alters daily life, redefining where and how they can exercise what the court now calls a core constitutional right. From urban centers to rural towns, people are now reconsidering their relationship with firearms, public safety, and personal freedom. The impact is immediate and deeply personal, affecting not only gun owners, but also law enforcement, educators, and families concerned about safety in their communities. Gun rights advocates hail this as a restoration of the Second Amendment's original intent, celebrating what they see as a long overdue affirmation of individual liberty. For them, the ruling is a victory for personal freedom and a check on government overreach. Meanwhile, supporters of gun control see it as a major setback for public safety, warning that the decision could make it harder to prevent gun violence and protect vulnerable communities. They fear the ruling will undermine years of progress in reducing gun-related deaths. The ruling arrives at a pivotal moment, clarifying the court's stance after years of legal uncertainty and igniting a new chapter in the national debate. With the country already divided, this decision is sure to fuel passionate arguments on both sides. As we explore the history, the court's reasoning, and the consequences, we'll examine how this decision fits into the broader story of American law and society. The implications reach far beyond the courtroom, touching every aspect of civic life. One question remains: what does this new era of gun rights mean for America's future? As the nation grapples with the aftermath, the answers will shape not only our laws, but the very fabric of American identity. Woolford v. Lopez began in Hawaii, a state with some of the strictest gun laws in the country. After Bruin, Hawaii revised its laws but imposed sweeping restrictions on where guns could be carried, including most private businesses open to the public. Gun owners argued this was a de facto ban on public carry, making self-defense rights meaningless outside the home. The state defended its law as a necessary public safety measure, citing historical regulations of sensitive places. Lower courts issued conflicting rulings, and the Ninth Circuit upheld Hawaii's law, deepening a national legal divide. With federal courts split, the Supreme Court stepped in to resolve the issue. The stage was set for a decision that would impact gun laws nationwide. On December 14, 2025, the Supreme Court struck down Hawaii's law in an 8-1 decision. Justice Kavanaugh, writing for the majority, said the Second Amendment guarantees a practical right to carry firearms in public for self-defense. The court ruled that while states can ban guns in a few truly sensitive places, they cannot make public carry nearly impossible through broad restrictions. Hawaii's law, which required explicit permission to carry on most private property, was found inconsistent with historical norms. The majority clarified that the sensitive places doctrine must be interpreted narrowly, not as a blanket ban on public carry. The ruling sends a clear message: states cannot regulate the right to carry into oblivion. This decision casts doubt on similar laws nationwide and redefines the boundaries of public carry. Justice Sotomayor's lone dissent warned that the court's decision prioritizes gun rights over public safety and state authority. She argued that American history supports regulating firearms in crowded public places to prevent violence. Sotomayor criticized the majority for freezing gun regulation in the 18th century and stripping states of flexibility to address modern challenges. She predicted a surge in litigation and confusion, with more guns in public and greater risks. Her dissent echoes the concerns of many who fear the expansion of gun rights comes at too high a cost. The Woolford decision sends shockwaves through states with restrictive gun laws, forcing them to rewrite regulations that are now presumptively unconstitutional. Legal challenges to similar laws in New York, California, and elsewhere will likely succeed, strengthening gun rights advocates' positions. The ruling's narrow view of sensitive places will influence future cases on assault weapons and magazine bans. Politically, it's a major win for Republicans and a challenge for Democrats, shifting the legal landscape for gun control. Business owners must now decide whether to allow firearms or post signs prohibiting them, taking on new responsibilities and risks. The debate over guns moves from legislatures to local businesses and communities. The ruling forces a practical reckoning with the realities of public carry in everyday life. Professor Anya Sharma, a renowned constitutional law expert, describes Woolford as the most decisive act in the Supreme Court's Second Amendment trilogy. She emphasizes that this decision stands out not only for its legal reasoning but also for its sweeping impact on American society and jurisprudence. According to Sharma, Woolford is a turning point that will be studied for generations. With a broad majority, the court has now made public carry a mainstream constitutional right, elevating it beyond a partisan or conservative position. This ruling signals a fundamental shift in how the Second Amendment is interpreted, making it clear that the right to carry firearms in public is now embedded in the nation's legal fabric. Sharma notes that this precedent will make it extremely difficult for future courts to reverse course. The debate, she explains, will now focus on the boundaries, how little public carry can be regulated, rather than whether it can be restricted at all. This marks a significant narrowing of the government's power to regulate firearms in public spaces. Legal scholars across the country are already analyzing the ripple effects. Some predict a wave of challenges to existing state laws, while others foresee a patchwork of regulations as states attempt to adapt to the new standards set by Woolford. Sharma acknowledges that many citizens and advocacy groups are deeply concerned about the potential for increased violence. However, she points out that the court's focus remains firmly on individual rights, operating under the presumption that licensed carriers are responsible and law-abiding. Public safety officials and community leaders are now grappling with how to balance these expanded rights with the need to protect their communities. The conversation is shifting from whether to allow public carry to how best to ensure it is exercised safely and responsibly. The societal impact, Sharma suggests, will depend largely on how states and citizens adapt to this new reality. Some states may embrace the change, while others may seek creative ways to maintain public safety within the new legal framework. Looking ahead, Sharma predicts that the next major legal battles will center on what types of weapons are protected under the Second Amendment and who is eligible to own or carry them. These questions are likely to generate intense debate and further litigation. The logic established in Woolford will serve as the foundation for these future cases, marking what Sharma calls a complete refounding of Second Amendment law in the United States. As Sharma concludes, the process of defining the limits and responsibilities of public carry is far from over. The nation now enters a new era of legal and social debate, with the eyes of the world watching how America navigates this historic transformation. For most Americans in states with permissive gun laws, little will change. The ruling simply affirms existing rights. In states with strict laws, however, the landscape shifts dramatically. Licensed gun owners will soon be able to carry in many more public places. This new reality will make guns more visible in daily life, sparking local debates and forcing communities to confront the issue head-on. Business owners must decide their policies, and citizens will need to be more aware of their surroundings. The ruling places greater responsibility on gun owners for safe handling and on all citizens to engage in civic dialogue. Community forums and local meetings will become new battlegrounds for the gun debate. The decision demands renewed engagement and responsibility from everyone. The Supreme Court's Woolford decision marks the most significant expansion of gun rights in a generation. By striking down Hawaii's law, the court has set a new national standard for public carry, ending the era of sweeping restrictions. For gun rights advocates, it's a victory for liberty. For gun control supporters, a source of deep concern. The ruling will trigger new legislation, litigation, and debate over what types of firearms and which individuals are protected. America stands at a crossroads, with the boundaries between individual rights and public safety redrawn. As this new chapter unfolds, your voice and engagement are more important than ever.